Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, by the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have been able to join again the Halaqa of Tajweed today, and our program will be as usual. We will recite one page from the Mus'haf. We are observing a sequence. Alhamdulillah, today we will do 8 and 9, page 8 and 9. So we'll start with recitation of page 8 and then we will do 9 after, and then we will discuss one or two rules in detail of Tajweed, and then we will end with a recitation of another page of the Holy Quran, inshallah ta'ala. So I would request everyone join with me. Okay, so let us go. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ نجيناكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب يذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم. وإذ فرقنا بكم البحر فأنجيناكم وأغرقنا آل فرعون وأنتم تنظرون. وإذ واعدنا موسى 40 ليلة ثم اتخذتم العجل من بعده وأنتم ظالمون. ثم عفونا عنكم من بعد ذلك لعلكم تشكرون. وإذ آتينا موسى الكتاب والفرقان لعلكم تهتدون. وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم إنكم ظلمتم أنفسكم باتخاذكم العجل يا قوم إنكم ظلمتم أنفسكم باتخاذكم العجل فتوبوا إلى بارئكم فاقتلوا أنفسكم ذلكم خير لكم عند بارئكم فتاب عليكم إنه هو التواب الرحيم. وإذ قلتم يا موسى لن نؤمن لك حتى نرى الله جهرة فأخذتكم الصاعقة وأنتم تنظرون ثم بعثناكم من بعد موتكم لعلكم تشكرون وظللنا عليكم الغمام وأنزلنا عليكم المن والسلوى كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم وما ظلمونا ولكن كانوا أنفسهم يظلمون صدق الله العظيم. All right, so let's start the rule, inshallah, that will be coming today. But before we start, let us make the dua. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqihi Muhammad wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. So inshallah today we will do the rules. We will start the rules of Noon, Saakin and Tanween. For the last two sessions we looked at the rules of Ra. Let me go back up to the table of contents so that you can also follow exactly where we are. So we started with the rules of Noon and Mim Mushaddad, and we did the Qalqala, we did the light and heavy letters, and we did the Lam in the exalted name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me make this page a little bit big. Here we go. Okay, and then we did the ruling of Ra letter being heavy or light, and we spent two sessions on it. So inshallah, let us move on to the next set of rules of Noon Sakina and Tanween. So if I click there, I am put on this page here. So let us go line by line to see what it says, and then we will try to explain. So the rules of Noon Sakina and Tanween, or Ahkamun Noon Sakina wa Tanween. So Noon Sakina is a noon with no haraka or with a sukun sign on it. So let me get my pen here. Okay. So this is how Noon Sakin is represented. Okay, Noon Sakin, Noon with a sukun. So what is this sign here? This little thing, this thing is called sukun. It's also called jazm. Americans call it sukun. So Noon with a this sign on it we call Noon Sakina. And Noon sakina can also exist like this with no jazm on it, no sukoon on it, nothing on top or bottom, just on its own, just noon like that. So this also will be considered as noon sakina or noon sakin, meaning the noon with no harakah. What are harakat? Fatha, dhamma, kasra. Fathatain, kasratain, dhammatain. Okay. Then noon sakina can also be represented like this, noon with a meme on top, little meme, superscripted meme here. This is a meme like this here. That's what it is, this one here. Okay. So noon sakin and tanween can have these three shapes. Noon sakin can exist at the end of the word or in the middle of the word as well. All right. Moving on. Tanween. So tanween is actually a noon sakin which comes at the end of the nouns. It is pronounced but not written as noon sakin. Okay. So how does the tanween look like? Okay, so this would be if this is the letter, if this is a letter, whatever letter, let's say ba, ta, whatever letter it is, this is a letter here. Then on top of it, if you have those two slanted dashes, they're called tanween fathatain. Tanween fathatain. So this will be fathatain. Fathatain. So this will be tanween fathatain. This will be tanween kasratain. And this would be tanween dhammatain. Okay, dhammatain. Now, sometimes tanween can look also like this. Tanween fathatain, where the top one is here and the bottom one is slightly, like forward. Okay, it's like as if the bottom one is like slipping away. Same thing here. The bottom one is sort of slipping away. Okay, we will see these examples in the Mus'haf inshallah. And whenever tanween is represented like that, in that situation, the dhammatain is represented like that, like two commas side by side, like this, but on top of the letter. Here's the letter. And tanween can also exist in this form. This would be again tanween fathatain, but if it is followed by a letter ba, then they add a meme. So basically, this is actually tanween fathatain. So tanween fathatain, basically it gets sort of modified if there is a ba right after. So what they would do is just the top one, they would just make it like a meme. Okay, like this. As my meme is a little deformed, but the way it is shown here, it's like this here, something like that. And this happens in the situation of iqlab, but we didn't do that sub rule yet. But I'm just mentioning that what is the condition when this thing actually happens. This notation is actually used for the tanween, fathatain, kasratain, or dhammatain. So the top one, the top the dash in case of the fathatain is replaced by a meme, and the top dash in case of the kasratain is again replaced by a meme, small meme, and the dhamma that um, appears, the second one, is replaced by a meme. All right. So these are the different notations. Now, when do they occur? We will learn that now, inshallah, that in which scenario, which of these configurations are used. Okay, but the purpose of this paragraph was to introduce to us that Tanween, what does it look like? This is Tanween here. Noon Sakin, what are the different forms of Noon Sakin that exist? And this one, what are the different forms of Tanweens that exist? This form, or this form. Okay, let's move on, and then we will see what are the different scenarios and how these are used in those scenarios. Okay, there's a note here saying Tanween only occurs at the end of nouns. So this is very important. Tanween only occurs at the end of nouns, except in two verbs. So this is an exception. There's always an exception to almost every rule, but in general, whenever you see a tanween, you can more or less assume that the word is a noun. Okay. Whereas noon sakina may occur anywhere in a word, in the middle or at the end. So we will look at that, inshallah. Perhaps we should look at it right now. Let's go over to the Mus'haf. Okay. So I'm just gonna go back here. Where are we now? Okay. We go to the Mus'haf and let us try to identify those tanweens and nun sakins. As soon as the page appears, I'm just going to make it big here. Okay, here we go. Okay. So now let us try to find nun sakin or tanween. Okay. So as we move, okay. So now we found one nun sakin here. So now we did see this type in the tajweed notes, okay, that noon can appear with this sukoon sign on top. Okay, let's move on and find another instance. أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء. Okay, so now we find tanween of this type, which is two commas side by side. Okay, here we go. فرقنا بكم البحر now here you have a noon sakin, but this noon sakin does not have a sukoon sign on it. Okay, it's appearing right at the in the middle of the word, because the word actually starts from here. It's a compound word. Fa is joined with it, but actually the word is here anjaynakum, and then fa is actually joined with it, but fa would be a one letter word as well. So this sort of makes it a compound word, but here's your noon sakin with nothing on top or bottom. Okay, here's another one, noon sakin with nothing on top or bottom. Another one, another noon sakin here with nothing on top or bottom right here. Okay, here's your tanween fathatain, and as they pointed out, that whenever you have tanween, any tanween, then the word is going to be a noun, and you can see that laylatan. So layla is night. Okay, 40 laylatan, 40 nights. ثم اتخذتم العجل من بعده. Okay, now here's your noon sakin with the meme on top here. وأنتم, here's your noon sakin with nothing on top or bottom. ثم عفونا عنكم, same thing, noon sakin with nothing on top or bottom. and here you have the Noon Sakin with the meme. And as I pointed out, that whenever you have this meme on top, whether it is on top of the Tanween or on top of Noon Sakin, you see a ba, and here is your ba. So it is used in a condition of iqlab, which we will study inshallah a bit after. Today we will study the first rule of Noon Sakin and Tanween, which is Izhaar, Halaqi, or just Izhaar. Okay, la'allakum tashkurun. Okay, fine. So we've identified all of these. Inshallah, just remember them. Well, you don't need to remember which ones they are. Inshallah, we will come back and identify again. But you have seen the different forms. Okay, how they um, appear in the normal mushaf. So now let us go back to um, where is it? Okay, let's go back to the Tajweed notes and go back to this diagram that we were looking at. I'm just going to make this picture big again, and there we go. So we did this whole thing. Now, what are the rules of Noon Sakina and Tanween? Okay, there are, remember this, 4 rules. Rules of Noon Sakina and Tanween are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the first one is Izhar Halaqi. And I like to start with Izhar Halaqi as well, and alhamdulillah these notes have also started with Izhar Halaqi. When I learned um, the rules of Noon Sakin and Tanween, I learned it like this as well. You can learn any rule, because they're all different scenarios, but learning this helps, because basically you work like whenever you see Noon Sakin or Tanween, then to figure out what rule is going to apply, you have to look at the letter that comes right after. So if you start with Izhar Halaqi, which are basically caused by throat letters, Halaqi letters, it makes it easy. So basically use process of elimination, that if you have Noon Sakin or Tanween, however, whichever Tanween do you have this way or this one, or whichever Noon Sakin that you have, usually it will be Noon, whichever format it will be. What you do is you look at the letter that comes right after. So it is easy. I found it easy, at least in my case, that you see if you make a check. Is this a throat letter? First check. Is this a throat letter? So throat letters are very easy. Hamza, ha, Ain, ha, Ghain, kha. So it's easy to check for. Is this a throat letter? No. Move on to the next one. Okay. Is it one of the Yarmalun letters? Okay. Ya, Ra, Mim, Lam, Waw, Noon. Okay. Is this one of those letters? Okay. No. Then is it a Iqlab? Is it a Ba? Okay. No. Then it has to be Ikhfa, because Ikhfa would be all the rest of the letters. So how many are these? 6, 12, 13. Okay. So out of 28, which are consonants, if you take away 13, so it will be what? 15, right? Yeah, 15. So then Ikhfa letters will be 15 letters. So it's easier if you do it in this sequence, and alhamdulillah in these notes also they have put the rules in this sequence, which is very good, makes it easy for all of us. Okay, mashallah. So let us move on to the next page and see what they say. Okay, so the first rule that they will be, or sub rule I can say, they will be covering under the Noon Sakin and Tanween is this one, Izhaar Halaqi. Okay, so that's the first sub rule. Now, what does it mean? So, Izhaar actually means clear, clear expression of. So, Izhaar letters are, as I mentioned before, Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha. Meaning, if you have again Noon Sakin or Tanween situation, then the letter that comes right after, if this is one of these letters, then you will have the condition of Izhar Halaqi. And that's what you have to check. So, is this letter that is following Noon Sakin or Tanween, is it among the throat letters? It's very easy to at least I found it easy anyways, to make a very quick check. So, what is the way of pronunciation? If a Noon Sakin or Tanween is followed by any of the 6 throat letters, these ones, the Noon Sakin or Tanween is pronounced clearly from its respective origin without gunna, meaning extending the nasal sound. So, let us look at some of the examples. So, let me scroll down or scroll up the page. Scroll the page up. Okay, these are the examples. Okay, what's the first one? So, here is min. Noon has the sukoon on top, and then the letter right after the Noon Sakin is this letter. What is that letter? That letter is a Hamza. Okay, Hamza can appear in many forms, right? Hamza like this, Hamza can be like this, Hamza can be like this. Hamza can appear on top of a ya, Hamza can appear on top of a wow. So Hamza has many forms, okay? So this is one of the forms. So Hamza comes from the throat, the bottom part of the throat. And what is the partner or this another letter that shares the same makhraj of Hamza is Ha. Ha. Hamza and Ha. Okay, so they're both throat letters. So in this case, Hamza is there. So you are reading, you come up with Noon Sakin. So you look at the letter right after and you right away detect, oh, this is a throat letter. So therefore, I have to do Izhar. And what is Izhar? How are we going to read this? Min. So what are we told? We are told that the Noon Sakin or the Tanween is pronounced clearly without gunna. So we will say min ahli. Okay, we will not extend the gunna like min ahli. That will be wrong. So how are we going to say it? Min ahli. Min ahli. Okay, you can repeat with me as well. Okay, so you will also get a little bit of practice. So repeat with me whenever I recite these. Repeat with me. Min ahli. Min ahli. Okay, in this case, where is the Noon Sakin? Noon Sakin is right here. So you must be noticing that this is the scenario where Noon has the Sukoon sign on top of it. See, Sukoon sign right here. So in case of a Izhar Halaqi or Izhar, the Noon Sakin contains the Sukoon sign. Noon Sakin contains the or carries the sukoon sign on top of it. Here also. Noon Sakin has the sukoon sign on top. Here also. Noon Sakin has the sukoon sign on top. Noon Sakin has a sukoon sign on top. Noon Sakin has a sukoon sign on top. In this case, the letter right after is Hamza. In this case, the second case, the letter right after is a Ha. As I said, Hamza shares the same makhraj as the Ha. They're both throat letters. In the third case, Noon Sakin is followed by a letter which is a Kha. And Kha we also know is a throat letter. It is from the topmost part of the throat. Liman khashiya. Here you have Noon Sakin in the fourth case, followed by a letter Ha, which is a throat letter. Ha, as we know, is the same makhraj as a Hamza. Ain in this fifth case here is following Noon Sakin, which is again a throat letter coming from the middle part of the throat. And in the last case here, Noon Sakin is followed by another Hamza, which is again a throat letter. So, quick review of the throat letters. What are they? Hamza, Ha. So if this is a throat, let's say from here to here, then it will be Hamza, Ha. Middle part, Ain, Ha. Topmost part, Ghain, Kha. These are the 6 throat letters. As soon as you see a throat letter right after Noon Sakin or Tanween, we will make Izhaar. We will not stretch the Gunna or the nasal part of the Noon, and we will recite the first one like this: Min Ahli, Min Ahli. Second one we will recite like this: Anhum, Anhum, Anhum. The third one we will recite like this: Liman khashiya. Again, Liman khashiya, Liman khashiya. So we are not extending the gunna at all. We are making it short and clear. Fourth one here, second row, first one. Yanha, Yanha, Yanha. Okay. The second one in the second row. An'amta, An'amta, An'amta. Just a quick note here that if you are not careful, you can end up making a qalqala on the noon sakin here. So rather than saying an'amta, a lot of people they end up saying an'amta, an'amta. So what is happening in that case? That they are actually continuing the sound even when they are separating the, the tip of the tongue from the makhraj of the noon to move to the ayn makhraj. So when you take the tongue away from the noon makhraj, don't make any sound. An-am. But if you take your tongue away while the sound is still there, then you will get the qalqala sound like an, an, an'am, an'am. So it's important that we don't do that, because otherwise it's going to sound like an'amta, an'amta. So it will be wrong. So it should be an'amta. And this is one of the common words where this mistake is made, and this is in the Suratul Fatiha. أنعمت عليهم, like this. Okay, the last one here. من أي من أي من أي. So these are all the, well, some of the scenarios which are for Izhaar. Noon Sakin followed by a throat letter, and Noon Sakin will look like this. Noon, okay, carrying a Sukun sign on top, like this. Okay, let's move on to the next point here. Okay, here the cases of Tanween are being discussed. Let's look at them. So what do we have? Where is the Tanween here? The Tanween is right here. What type of Tanween is it? Tanween kasratain. Tanween kasratain. Now you see Tanween kasratain is followed by a Ain, and Ain is a throat letter. In this case, we have Tanween. Tanween fathatain. Tanween fathatain followed by a throat letter Hamza. In the third case here, Tanween dhammatain followed by a throat letter Ha. In this second row, first case, Tanween kasratain followed by a letter Kha. In the second case, and the second scenario, in the second row, Tanween dhammatain followed by a throat letter Hamza. And in the last case here, Tanween kasratain followed by a throat letter Kha. So how are we going to read these? Let's read these. يومئذ عليها يومئذ عليها يومئذ عليها. Second one. عبدا إذا عبدا إذا عبدا إذا. Third one here. سلام هي سلام هي سلام هي. In this case here, يومئذ خاشعة يومئذ خاشعة يومئذ خاشعة. The next one here. طعام إلا طعام إلا طعام إلا. And the last case here. كاذبة خاطئة كاذبة خاطئة كاذبة خاطئة. So, in summary, whenever you have throat letter after Noon Sakin or Tanween, we are not going to stretch the gunna or the nasal sound. We will make it short and clear. We looked at the scenarios with Noon Sakin up here, and we looked at the scenarios with Tanween, Fathatain, Kasratain or Dhammatain. Tanween. So Noon Sakin or Tanween. There is a note here, and this is also very important. If the tanween is followed by hamzatul wasl. So what is hamzatul wasl? Hamzatul wasl is this here. And you find hamzatul wasl a lot. Okay? All over the place you find hamzatul wasl. Okay. So this is hamzatul wasl is basically an alif with a head of the letter Sad. Head of the letter Sad. That's what that is. Hamzatul wasl. And I think I discussed before last class as well that Hamzatul wasl, if we are reading in a continuum, then Hamzatul wasls they drop out. But if we are actually going to start from this word, let's say, then we have to use Hamzatul wasl because there is a lam sakin right after, and no word actually starts with a silent or the sakin letter. In Arabic, they need some mutaharrik letter before, and here you have the hamza, and this hamzatul wasl takes on a haraka. So in this case, because this is a noun, you have the hamzatul wasl and lam combination, so this hamzatul wasl is going to take on fatha all the time. With the nouns, hamzatul wasl takes on fatha, so it will be al-mustaqar. Okay, but in this example here, what it says, if the tanween is followed by hamzatul wasl, so here is your tanween followed by a hamzatul wasl, the reader is supposed to pronounce the noon in the tanween like noon with kasra. So where is the noon in the tanween? What does it mean? Noon in the tanween. What does it mean? Let me write this here. Yaw ma I ma. Okay, there's written hamza here. I. If, there's a different conventions. If you actually write hamza at the bottom, then you can assume there is a kasra. So that's why they didn't write a kasra here. Yawma'i. And here's your dal with a kasratain. And this is the same as writing yawma'i din. Yawma'i din. So kasratain yawma'i din. This one here is the same as this here. That's why the rules of noon, sakin and tanween are the same, because the ending sound is the same. It's of noon sakin. So noon in the tanween is this noon here. This noon, which is hidden in the two dashes. It is hidden there. So now what happens? So now you have yawma idin like this, and then you have the word al, because they have a little thing here. Okay, and that's how sometimes they write the meme, just this little thing, not al like this. Sometimes they would write like this, but sometimes they write like this here. So this is a meme here. Okay, this is a meme here. Okay, so and you have seen, and then you have ta, then you have qa, then you have ra. So L, and then you have the lam, and then this dhamma for the meme here, and sin is sakin, ta has a fatha, qaf has a fatha, and ra has a tajdeed with a dhamma. Okay, so what is this saying now? Look at this. If we are going to recite this in a continuous manner here without stopping, so what's going to happen? Hamzatul wasl, as we said, is going to drop out. So I'm just going to take the hamzatul wasl away. So now how do we read this? يومئذ للمستقر. You can't do that. للمستقر, you can't. You need some kind of a haraka, and we know that because we are reading in a continuous manner here, Hamzatul Wasl that was there, okay, drops out. So we take this away. So how are we going to read this? So what they do is they actually put a kasra here. Instead of the sukun here, the sukun is taken away. It doesn't sound very nice. Sukun is taken away. But that sukun sign is taken away and a kasra is. So the noon in the tanween, like the noon with a kasra. So noon in the tanween here is right here. Okay. You put a kasra. That's all what you're doing. So what happens? You end up reciting it like this. يومئذ يومئذ المستقر. That was a whole theory behind why we recite like that. يومئذ المستقر. Okay. And noon inside the tanween is that hidden noon here. If this is not there, then you can just represent this dal with a kasratain. Okay, hopefully that is clear. And that tanween can be any tanween. Could be kasratain, fathatain, dammatain. Any tanween. Okay, and same rule is going to apply. Okay, so let us move on. Okay, so the next thing is iqlab, but we won't do that for now. Let us go and look at the examples. More examples of Izhaar Halaqi. So let me just go back to the previous page. Okay. To the Mus'haf. And inshallah we will identify the scenarios of Izhaar, because that's the topic we are doing right now. Izhaar. We had done that before. Let's look at the next half of this page. Okay, we were going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we're doing 8 and 9. So we did the first half of this page. Let's do this half here. Okay, and let's identify some of those Izhaar scenarios. I can't get that line. Okay, or maybe I'll just reduce it so I can get a little bit more. Okay, here we go. Okay, still I don't want to cut that line. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's move on and I start identifying. وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم إنكم ظلمتم. Here it is, أنفسكم. So here is your Noon Saakin. Okay, so now let us look right away. As soon as we hit a Noon Saakin, we have to look at the letter right after. So this processing you have to do in your brain very fast, like in split second. Now look at the letter right after. Is this a throat letter? No. Okay, so obviously it's not going to fit in the Izhaar definition, right? Okay, fine. We didn't do the other rules, so we will just move on. We'll move on. باتخاذكم العجل فتوبوا إلى بارئكم فاقتلوا. I hope we can find some Izhaar scenarios. Okay, again, this is not a throat letter, so we keep on moving. Okay, again, here is your Noon Sakin, but not a throat letter. That is not a throat letter. We keep on moving. فتاب عليكم إنه هو التواب الرحيم. وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَن. Okay, you got another one. But in this case, the letter that follows is a noon. Again, not a throat letter. نؤمن لك حتى نرى الله جهرة فأخذتكم الصاعقة وأنتم. Again, you have the noon sakin, but not a throat letter. Again, noon sakin, but not a throat letter right after. ثم بعثناكم من بعد noon sakin, but not a throat letter, the ba. لعلكم تشكرون وظللنا عليكم الغمام وأنزلنا عليكم المن والسلوى كلوا من. Again, you have noon sakin followed by a non-throat letter. ما رزقناكم وما ظلمونا ولكن كانوا أنفسهم. Again, noon sakin with the non-throat letter. So I guess we're not that lucky. Let's move on to the next page and try to find here. And basically what this means is that the Izhaar situations, Izhaar Halaqi situations are obviously less. Okay, at least on that page anyways. Okay, so mashallah, here we go. Look at that. We found right in the first line. وَإِذْ قُلْنَا ادْخُلُوا هَذِهِ الْقَرْيَةَ فَكُلُوا. We hit the noon sakin, and the letter right after is a ha. Ha is a throat letter. Okay, and look, the situation of Izhar, noon sakin has the sukun sign right here, has a sukun sign. So sukun sign on noon sakin signifies that it is a Izhar halaqi situation. We are not going to stretch the nasal sound, and we will make it with the noon sound. The noon sound, we will make it very clear. So how will we say this? فَكُلُوا مِنْهَا فَكُلُوا مِنْهَا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمْ. Okay, let's try to find another one. وَادْخُلُوا الْبَابَ سُجَّدًا وَقُولُوا حِطَّةٌ نَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ. So again, you have a tanween situation here, but tanween not followed by any throat letter. Here is a noon. فَبَدَّلَ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا قَوْلًا. Aha, now we find a tanween. And okay, so now you will also find that whenever you find tanween fathatain, there is an alif right after. Okay, and this alif is actually used if you were actually going to stop here. We haven't done the mudud yet, meaning mudud is a plural of mads. We haven't done it yet, but just because we are here, I will just mention quickly that whenever you find a tanween fathatain, you will find an alif right after in general, and this alif is used when you stop. So what happens? Then this actually changes into a mad, lam alif fatha, and this alif is used in that case. So if I was to stop here, I will say ظلموا قولا ظلموا قولا. It's called madul iwad, but anyways, I don't want to get into that now. So this alif is just there to be used if we stop. Okay, so now let me take this away. So now we did find tanween fathatain, and right after the significant letter is ghain, which is a throat letter. Okay, it is the neighbor of kha. Kha and ghain, they share the same makhraj, top of the throat. Ghain. So how are we going to read this one? ظلموا قولا غير الذي ظلموا قولا غير الذي. And you see that because the yeah, so as far as the noon sakin is concerned, if it was a izhar situation, we learned that noon sakin has the sukoon sign on it. What about tanween? Tanween, whenever it is in izhar situation, you will find the tanween fathatain is like an equal sign, slightly tilted. It's like an equal sign. Equal sign is like this, right? Like this, both of them equal. But this one is slightly tilted. But both of the dashes are equal. Not like the other one where I said that the bottom one is like sliding away like this one here. See that? So this happens in the case in the right here is idgham. We didn't do that yet. That's why I don't want to confuse you. So we will look at that afterwards. So it's like an equal sign. It's like a tilted equal sign, but where both dashes are equal to each other right here. قولا غير الذي, so we don't stretch the nasal sound of that hidden noon of the tanween, and we just make it short and clear. قولا غير الذي. You can move on. قيل لهم فأنزلنا. You have a noon sakin here, but again the following letter is not a throat letter. على الذين ظلموا رجزا من السماء بما كانوا يفسقون. وإذ استسقى موسى لقومه فقلنا اضرب بعصاك الحجر. Here's your noon sakin here, but followed by a non-throat letter. فانفجرت منه اثنتا عشرة عينا قد علم كل أناس مشربهم. Ah, here we go. So I just overlooked that. Minhu. So here is your noon sakin, and noon has the sukoon sign on it, and the letter right after is the ha. So we will not stretch the gunna, we will make the noon clear and short. Minhu, minhu, and in this case, minhu thnata. Okay. Let's identify some more here. قد علم كل أناس مشربهم كلوا واشربوا من. Here you have noon sakin, but the next letter is a non-throat letter, so we move on. من رزق الله ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين. وإذ قلتم يا موسى لن. Okay, here is go noon sakin, but non-throat. We keep on going. لن نصبر على طعام. Have a tanween here, but non-throat letter right after, so we keep on going. طعام واحد. Again, you have a tanween right here, but not non-throat letter following it. فادع لنا ربك يخرج لنا مما Here's your noon sakin again, but you have non-throat, you have ba, so that's why you have the meme up there. تنبت الأرض من. Here's your noon again, sakin, but because it's followed by a ba, you have the meme there. من بقلها وقثائها وفومها وعدسها وبصلها. قال أتستبدلون الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير. Okay. Now let's look at this scenario. You can stop here because there is this jim here. This jim here, where it means that you're permitted to stop here. But suppose you don't stop here. how are you going to read this here? Remember the tanween followed by hamzatul wasl, and that's exactly what you have now here. So let's look at this now. So you have tanween. What type of tanween? Tanween dhammatain followed by hamzatul wasl. Okay. So how are we going to do? Where is the hidden noon here? So this is khayrun, as you know, kha, ya, ra. So you can also write this khay, phonetically speaking, khay, khayrun, khayrun, rather than the dhammatain, you write like this. So that means there is a noon here, there is a hidden noon. And the scenario is that you have the noon or the hidden noon followed by hamzatul wasl. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to take this sukun sign and just put a kasra there on the hidden noon. And how are we going to read this now? If this word was this one here, so if we just draw a circle equivalence here, khayru, and then we know that when we are reading in a continuum, hamzatul wasl actually takes is taken away, drops out, goes away. So now we are going to connect with the ha Saakin right here. So replacing, not really replacing, but considering this formation of this word instead of that, how are we going to read? So this noon here is going to go and join with this ha. خيرني بيطو خيرني بيطو. You see? So I hope you see that. So that hidden noon gets the kasra. Otherwise, it was khayrun, and then this will be ihbitu. So again, it will be like knowing the rules of hamzatul wasl, and because this scenario here does not have hamzatul wasl and lam combination, which you would find with the nouns. For example, here al-ard, the earth. So ard is the noun. Okay, you have so many that occur. Okay, here al-maskana. So always hamzatul wasl followed by lams sakin, there will be hamzatul wasl will have a fatha. But this is not the hamzatul wasl and lam combination in this particular word here that we were considering here. So therefore it is a verb, and if it is a verb, what you have to do is you have to look at the third letter, and then for look at the haraka on the third letter. If there is a kasra or a fatha, hamzatul wasl will get a kasra. If there is a dhamma, then hamzatul wasl will get a dhamma. So hamzatul wasl will get a dhamma for dhamma, and will get kasra for fatha or kasra on the third letter. If we were to recite from here, so taking all of these things away, so if we were to stop here like this, هو أدنى بالذي هو خير, and then I have to start from here because I stopped here. What am I going to do? I am going to look at the third letter. Let me just take this away. I'm going to look at the third letter and there is a kasra. So for a fatha or kasra on the third letter, hamzatul wasl gets a kasra. So I'm going to start with the kasra. ihbitu misran, ihbitu misran. So this would be the rule of hamzatul wasl. But if you were going to recite on a continuous basis without stopping here, then you will have to um, use that hidden noon and the tanween and put a kasra on it. So it will be read like this. Huwa khayrun ihbitu. Huwa khayrun ihbitu. Okay. All right. I hope you remember that. So, اهبطوا مصرا فإن لكم ما سألتم وضربت عليهم الذلة والمسكنة وباءوا بغضب من الله. So here you have tanween, but here's a non-throat letter. ذلك بأنهم, so only تشديد, بأنهم كانوا يكفرون بآيات الله ويقتلون النبيين بغير الحق ذلك بما عصوا وكانوا يعتدون. Okay, so we have done quite a few examples here. Let us look at another. Okay, remember I was showing you that from our website you can go to the tajweed lessons. Let me show you exactly from where. If we go to our website here, okay, 1 2 3, number 3, this one here, learn the rules, tajweed part here. So if you click on this link, it loads the tajweed lessons. Now the first lesson that is loaded is ikhfa, and then the second one is Izhaar, and this is the one that we did today. So the first chapter is rules of Noon, Saakin and Tanween, and what we did today was Izhaar. So now let's look at the words here. There's lots of words here to give us a very good practice. So let us look at these words one by one. كنتم. Sorry, I need to load the Izhaar. This is for ikhfa actually. I need to load. Okay, here it is. So this is for Izhaar, as you can see. Rules of Izhaar, or you can call it Izhaar Halaqi as well. The definition is given if Noon, Sakin or Tanween, that is Fathatain, Kasratain, Dhammatain, is followed by any one of the throat letters Hamza Ha, Ain Ha, Ghain Kha, then the sound of Noon must be pronounced clearly and sharply without any prolongation. So now the first one here, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Oh yeah, I can make it bigger. Nice. Here we go. Each one of these words actually has a sound file right behind it. So if you click on it, it gives you the word here. Like, let me click on it. ينأون. Okay. ينأون. Okay. So we can recite with me. ينأون. And look at the noon. Noon has a sukoon sign on top. So we are having izhar situation. Noon has a sukoon sign on top. ينأون. Next one. من آمن. من آمن. This one. عذاب أليم. عذاب أليم. Okay, this one here. Kufuwan ahad. Kufuwan ahad. Okay, this one here. Hasidin idha. Hasidin idha. Okay, some more here. Yanhauna. Yanhauna. This one. Man huwa. Man huwa. This one. Salamun huwa. Salamun huwa. This one. Jami'an huwa. Jami'an huwa. This one. Jurufin har. Jurufin har. Okay. Now here is your tanweens in the font that I am using. To my knowledge that kasratain, this is the correct kasratain here. As I said, this is the equal sign but slanted, and that's exactly what you have here. Okay, is the equal sign and slanted in the case of izhar. Okay, and for dhammatain, whenever you have izhar, so you get this type of dhammatain, this type here. Okay, so dhammatain, as we saw before, the dhammatain can exist like this here, or this one with like this. So in case of izhar, you will have dhammatain like this, and this is the formation of dhammatain that is used. So here, and the fathatain and kasratain are just equal signs but slanted. Okay, you can keep on going. You can go on and yourself go through all of these examples to learn more. I mean, to practice more. They're all the different scenarios here are present. Okay, let me get back now. Oops, sorry.
فإن حكمتم.
Okay, let's go back to our notes here. Okay, so Alhamdulillah, today we did the chapter or sub-chapter on Izhar Halaqi. So I think we've finished this one now. The next one is going to be Iqlab. Inshallah, we will cover that next week. But now we will go on to the next page of the Mus'haf, and we will recite that. So we did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we did page 8. So we will do page 9 now, inshallah ta'ala. So let me go back here, go to the Mus'haf, and then make that page big. Okay, page 9. Okay, this is the one that we will be doing. 8, 9. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so join along with me and let's recite this page together. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وإذ قلنا ادخلوا هذه القرية فكلوا منها حيث شئتم رغدا فكلوا منها حيث شئتم رغدا وادخلوا الباب سجدا وقولوا حطة نغفر لكم خطاياكم وسنزيد المحسنين فبدل الذين ظلموا قولا غير الذي قيل لهم فأنزلنا على الذين ظلموا رجزا من السماء بما كانوا يفسقون وإذ استسقى موسى لقومه فقلنا اضرب بعصاك الحجر فانفجرت منه 12 عينا قد علم كل أناس مشربهم كلوا واشربوا من رزق الله ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين وإذ قلتم يا موسى لن نصبر على طعام واحد فادع لنا ربك يخرج لنا مما تنبت الأرض من بقلها وقثائها وفومها وعدسها وبصلها قال أتستبدلون الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير اهبطوا مصرا فإن لكم ما سألتم وضربت عليهم الذلة والمسكنة وباءوا بغضب من الله ذلك بأنهم كانوا يكفرون بآيات الله ويقتلون النبيين بغير الحق ذلك بما عصوا وكانوا يعتدون صدق الله العظيم. So we still have a few minutes, so let us look at some of the rules that we have already done. So it will be like a review Okay, so let's starting from here. What is, so a lot of people they this as soon as I saw this, I just remembered one common mistake that people make, that they make qalqal on this. So they will say wa idh qulna wa idh qulna. So you got to be very careful, okay? So especially what happens if the letter comes, if this is your mouth, if your mouth, let's say whatever is your mouth here, okay? So if the letter is coming from this area, from the front of the mouth, from inside, of course, and then if you're going to, let's say, near the throat somewhere, either the throat letter or near the throat. So in this case, you have the cough here, which is the first letter right after the throat. So the distance from here to here is quite large as compared to other letters that you find in the neighborhood of dal. Dal is right here with the tip of your tongue against the upper front teeth, okay, touching the edge of the upper front teeth and stuck out slightly. So what happens is that because this distance is big from here to here, the tendency to end up with a qalqala is there. But you need to curtail it, you need to control it. So rather than saying, being slack about it and saying وَإِذْ قُلْنَا, that is wrong. It's We need to curtail that, and we need to just do this dal without qalqala, because dal is not a qalqala letter. وَإِذْ قُلْنَا, so like this. So continuing, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا دَخُلُوا, here you have a dal sakin. Okay, dal is one of the qalqala letters, so we need to do qalqala. And when you do qalqala, uh, as you know that there are two types of letters. One, you can say uh, letters with voice, okay, and then there are letters without voice, just like a only the air sound, whisper sound, like a whisper. So voice and whisper. What are the whisper sound letters? Okay, they are fahathahu shakhsun sakat, fahathahu shakhsun, kha, sad, sin, kaf, ta. These are all the whisper letters, and all the rest are letters with a voice. Dal has a voice, so we need to make dal or other voice letters, we need to make them with voice. So here we will have to make the dal with voice, meaning وَإِذْ قُلْنَا دَخُلُوا. And if you don't put voice with the dal, okay, it's going to turn into a tha, because dal and ta, they share the same makhraj, exactly same makhraj. But ta is here, is a mahmusa letter, voiceless letter, has only the sound of the air. And dal is a majhura letter, is a voice letter, okay. But both of them are shadid, are strong letters. So meaning at the point of articulation, airflow stops for tha and dal. But tha does not have voice, dal has the voice. Jahr, it's called jahr. So we need to do, first of all, qulnad, voice, not qulnat khulu, but qulnad khulu, nad khulu. Number one. Number two, a lot of people will actually do it like this, nad, nad. So they will make like a dal, the qalqala, sort of not flat but sort of rounded. So you need to also make sure that dal is also muraqqaq, is a flat letter. The sifa of dal is sifa of tarqiq, flat. So we will need to do the qalqala also flat. وَإِذْ قُلْنَا d, not nado, not nado, nad, dal flat. وَإِذْ قُلْنَا ادْخُلُوا هَذِهِ الْقَرْيَةَ. هذه, this is this short alif here called alif maqsura. So you have a mad of two harakat. خُلُوا هَذِهِ الْقَرْيَةَ. Okay. Again, we've done the rules of ra. So you have a ra sakin. So what is the ra going to be? Either is it going to be mufakham or muraqqaq? Meaning, is it going to be rounded or flat? What is it going to be? Ra is sakin. Well, look at the previous letter. The previous letter has a fatha. So ra will be mufakham here. So we are going to read ra mufakham. Rounded, heavy, full mouth. هذه القر قر raising the back of the tongue. قرية قرية فكلوا منها. Okay, we have studied this rule today. Noon is sakin, but and also has the sukun sign on top. So look at the letter right after is a throat letter. So we know that this is going to be izhar. So we are not going to stretch the gunna. And we will say minha. فَكُلُوا مِنْهَا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمْ. Also here, this is a lean here. What is a lean? Waw sakin or ya sakin preceded by a letter with a fatha. Okay, so you have lean situation here. Lean. Hay. Hay. So you have to realize that if it's a ya, this is a ya layyina. It's called ya layyina. Ya sakin in the situation of lean preceded by a letter with a fatha. So the ending sound here is going to be e. Hay, not hay, not hay. Okay, like a lot of people say hay so, hay, hay. I won't be wrong. That's going to be wrong. You have to say haythu, haythu. Minha haythu shi'tum. Okay, another problem is that you have the hamza with a sukun. So when you join to a hamza with a sukun, any letter like this one here, in this case sheen, make sure that you don't make qalqala on the hamza sakin. A lot of people end up doing that. Shi'itum, 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 shi, like that. That's wrong. So we have to make sure we are decided like this. Shi'tum without qalqala. Haythu shi'tum ragadan رغدا وادخلوا again dal sakin need to be done qalqala on but flat, not round. Wadu, not wadu khulu. Wadu, no good. Dal sakin must be flat, qalqala must be flat. رغدا وادخلوا okay, خلوا الباب سجدا. Let me just complete the ayah because we need to stop now. وَقُولُوا حِطَّةٌ نَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ خَطَايَاكُمْ وَسَنَزِيدُ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. صدق الله العظيم. So as you can see here, I'm just pointing out some of the concerns and some of the very few rules. But as you probably have realized, if not, then I'm stating this: every letter has a rule behind it. Okay, when we read the Holy Quran, okay, there is a rule that is applied to every letter, every combination, every word, and word combinations as well. Yes, of course. I mean, it is easy, it is not hard. The main thing is that we should have the spirit of reciting the Holy Quran correctly. Why? Because it is the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do so much effort for things other than the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for many other things, worldly things. We make so much effort, so many sacrifices. So I think, and we all know, we all would agree, that the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does deserve, okay, some of our time investment. Invest this time, try to learn the rules of tajweed. Alhamdulillah, try to be consistent in this halaqah of tajweed. Okay. And if you have any questions, ask me whenever you come online. Okay. Ask me the question. Inshallah, I will explain further. But this knowledge is very important so that you can read, or if you already have generally good recitation, or not you're not making too many mistakes, but then you will be reciting knowingly, you will be reciting with the knowledge that whatever you're reciting, why you're reciting the way you are reciting. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me first of all and all of us the tawfiq. Yeah, you can also email me on contact us. You have the like here, you have the contact us here, the bottom one here. Okay, you can always email me the questions, or come on Skype whenever you're going to be reading to me. You can always ask those questions. There's so many avenues. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me first of all and all of us this tawfiq. We'll see you next week inshallah for this course. Subhanallah wa bihamdih. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.